When Khloe and Kourtney Kardashian sat down for a Vanity Fair lie detector test in 2022, the conversation took a detour down the aisle. Kourtney, even the instigator, asked her sister point blank, "Did you like my wedding dress?" A hint of hesitation crept into the conversation. Khloe offered a diplomatic response. "It was beautiful for sure," before adding that she would have preferred to see Kourtney save it for the after party and wear something different for the ceremony. And so, we arrive at the great Kardashian wedding dress debate. Which Kardashian wedding dresses were a perfect match, and which should never have made it to the altar? Over the years, and across their multiple weddings, reality TV's royal family has delivered some of the most memorable, divisive, and ostentatious wedding looks of the 21st century. Some are better than others, but all are entertaining to revisit as they compete for the title of bridal brilliance. Khloe Kardashian's 2009 wedding dress. To those in the know, Vera Wang is the undisputed queen of bridal couture. But even the best can miss the mark, and Khloe Kardashian's 2009 wedding gown is proof by far the worst of all the Kar-Jenner clan. The Good American founder tied the knot with basketball player Lamar Odom just 1 month after they met. The whirlwind nature of their nuptials may explain, but not excuse the gown's perplexing and ill-thought-out execution. The strapless mermaid-style dress featured a ruched bodice that hugged her frame before erupting into a frothy tulle skirt. A wide lavender sash that sat on her waist, fastened with an enlarged brooch, interrupted the monochrome palette and, while a nice idea in theory, failed to work. To her credit, the dress fit flattered Khloe's figure, but the overall effect lacked the refined opulence expected of Wang's oeuvre. Instead of exuding timeless bridal sophistication, the dress took a wrong turn into the realm of prom wear, its aesthetic stubbornly entrenched in the late 2000s. Fortunately, Khloe is among several celebs who have had an epic post-divorce glow-up. Kris Jenner's dress was oh so 90s. Kris Jenner's 1991 wedding dress was an unabashed example of early 90s excess. This particular bridal fever dream saw a strapless gown with an attention-seeking sweetheart neckline. The bodice was engulfed in lace appliques that tumbled down into a billowing skirt. A fussy lace collar didn't so much elevate the look as throttle it, giving the already busy ensemble a costume-esque edge. True to her nature, the ambition of this look was certainly there, but the execution was a little too heavy-handed to stand the test of time. It wasn't the worst wedding dress in the world, but it was certainly doing more work than necessary, and to its detriment, in a slightly crass way. Kris married former Olympian Caitlyn Jenner in a lavish ceremony, in a high-society spectacle. It was her second marriage, following her divorce from Robert Kardashian, and the beginning of a new era for the momager in the making. Kourtney's provocative Gothic-inspired dress, something old, something new, something borrowed, something nude. If anyone was going to take the concept of a wedding dress and strip it down to its barest essentials, let's face it, it was probably always going to be a Kardashian. For her 2022 nuptials to Travis Barker, Kourtney Kardashian ditched traditional bridal elegance in favor of something far more risque. A white satin corset mini dress by Dolce & Gabbana, inspired by Italian lingerie, structured boning, lace-trimmed cups, and the shortest hemline to ever grace a Kardashian aisle. The veil, in fairness, was breathtaking, and redeems the entire ensemble somewhat. A cascading cathedral-length masterpiece, embroidered with delicate lace, and an intricate rendering of the Virgin Mary, was artistic and dramatic in all the best ways. It was the kind of statement piece that could have carried the entire bridal look, and yet instead of complementing something equally regal, it was paired with an outfit that felt frankly vulgar. Against the gilded religious iconography of the Italian ceremony, the barely there dress came across irreverent and inappropriate. Kourtney may have been the bride, but the dress wasn't exactly saying holy matrimony. Kim Kardashian's 2011 reception dress. It's difficult to recall Kim Kardashian's romantic life before Kanye, but it definitely happened, and she had several wedding dresses to prove it. For her 2011 wedding to NBA forward Kris Humphries, she didn't settle for just one dress. Oh no, she had three. Her second look of the night, a custom Vera Wang mermaid-tailed dress designed for the reception, cranked up the glamour, though perhaps a little too much. The top half of the gown gripped her curves before detonating into an avalanche of ruffled tulle and feathered chaos at the knees. This was supposed to be the fun dress, the frock, that let loose for a night of celebration. And yet, imagination and practicality were nowhere to be found. Between the sheer weight of the train and the explosion of texture, it gave the impression she might take flight at any moment. The ensemble was undeniably eye-catching, though whether for the right reasons is still up for debate. Kim's 2011 ceremony dress was a princess moment. Kim Kardashian's ceremony dress for her 2011 wedding to Kris Humphries was perfectly fine, but also perfectly predictable. Another custom Vera Wang creation, the strapless ball gown featured a corseted bodice before billowing into a sea of tulle. It was grand, and exactly what you'd expect from a celebrity bride in the early 2010s. Nothing more, nothing less. What did work was the diamond headband attached to her veil. A subtle triumph of bridal styling, it added a touch of old Hollywood opulence, helping Kim look less like she'd stepped out of a wedding catalog. There was nothing offensive about this gown. It was flattering, and a princess moment done well. But for a wedding that was engineered to be a cultural spectacle, it was a little basic. And Kim is one of many celebrities we wish would take more fashion risks. The dress was missing that something extra, and left us feeling a little uninspired. Third time lucky with Kim's late-night wedding dress. Sometimes less really is more, especially when it comes to wedding gowns. Kim's third and final wedding dress of her 2011 wedding night was easily the most understated, and yet it was also the most elegant. After her grandiose spectacles earlier in the day, this custom Vera Wang design was refreshingly streamlined. The sumptuous satin fabric slipped over her enviable frame like molten ivory. The plunging V neckline was quite sultry. She is a Kardashian after all. That being said, the sleeveless straps attempted to temper this with sophistication. The fluidity of the cut, paired with a subtle flare at the hem, gave this gown its air of easy elegance, as if she'd stepped straight out from a vintage Vogue spread. It was modern yet timeless, a masterclass in effortless glamour, with no over-the-top embellishments or intricate beading, and definitely got our seal of approval. Kim's wedding to Kanye was a huge moment, with the dress to match for her era-defining wedding to Kanye West. Kim Kardashian stepped away from Vera Wang and into the hands of Givenchy's Riccardo Tisci. This custom gown marked a clear evolution in her bridal style. She kissed goodbye to the over-the-top princess theatrics, instead welcoming a more refined silhouette, a long-sleeved lace gown with a flattering high neckline. As we've come to expect, no Kardashian look would be complete without a little strategic skin on show. The gown's open back and subtle waist cutouts were an eye-opening contrast to the otherwise demure design. Nevertheless, we loved her sweeping cathedral-length veil, with detailed embroidered at the edges, catching the light as she walked down the aisle in Florence, Italy. Every element felt meticulously considered, from the delicate lace to the impeccable fit. This is arguably Kim's best bridal look to date, and at a whopping $500,000, it sure deserves to be. Kris' 1978 wedding dress was a bohemian dream long before she became the ultimate Hollywood matriarch. Kris Jenner was radiant in a wedding look that was everything a 70s bride could hope for. Marrying Robert Kardashian in 1978, she embraced the era's signature bohemian romanticism with a beautiful, dreamy gown. Semi-sheer bishop sleeves were generous in volume, but didn't overwhelm. Lace appliques crept from cuff to bodice. The waist, sculpted just tastefully enough to define, gave way to an airy A-line skirt that seemed to move with an easy, graceful fluidity. Eschewing the traditional veil, Kris instead went all in on a wide-brimmed, lace-trimmed sun hat. It might not hold up today, but it's an endearing treasure of its time, as a piece of ultra-glamorous, almost editorial bridal nostalgia that radiated 70s charm without dipping into kitsch. Looking back, this may just be the most timeless Kardashian wedding look of them all, ultimately proving, once again, that momager knows best. To separate the iconic from the ill-advised in the Kardashian world, we ranked each of their bridal gowns based on several key factors. The first was timelessness. Some dresses age like fine wine, others like early 2010s Instagram filters. Second, we looked at how the cuts fit their respective brides. A dress can be beautiful in theory, but it also needs to work on the woman wearing it. We also took into account the overall styling of the look. Sometimes the right accoutrements, accessories, hair, and makeup, for example, can improve the dress overall cohesion. Finally, we considered whether the wedding dresses matched the occasion, whether the dress suited the setting, or if it felt wildly out of place. For some extreme fashion faux pas, here are inappropriate outfits celebs showed up to other people's weddings in.